How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Night of the Living Dead, the original classic. This is directed by George A. Romero, starring Duane Jones and Judith O'Dea, and is from 1968. Yeah, I've covered lots of the extended Romero zombie franchise on this channel. Things like Night of the Living Dead 3D or Day of the Dead 2, Contagium, both Day of the Dead remakes. But I've done all this work with the Night of the Living Dead franchise, and I haven't actually covered the original one. Part of that being so much has already been said about this movie, I don't really know how much new stuff I would have to say, but, I want to cover everything in this series, and I'll just, throw my review out there, and, why not cover it? But yeah, I don't know how much of this you haven't heard other people say before, but why not? Let's just jump in. This movie, you get these two people, brother and sister, Johnny and Barbara, driving way out into the middle of nowhere, like 3 hours away from their house, to go put flowers on their father's grave. Johnny is not too excited about this, but Barbara wants to do it, and their mom wants them to do it, even though she's too sick to travel. They go out there. Barbara's a little spooked by the cemetery. Johnny's making fun of her when a stranger approaches them. The stranger kills Johnny and chases Barbara, but Barbara unfortunately crashes the car against a tree, gets out and sees an abandoned house in the middle of nowhere. She runs to it for shelter, still being chased by this guy, and in the house meets a stranger, Ben, and she's trapped in this house. And she learns from Ben that it's not just one madman, it's a whole bunch of people. They learn through news on the radio and word-of-mouth stories that the bodies of the recently deceased have been coming back to life and eating the flesh of the living. And it's the zombie apocalypse. Now, this is a very important movie because this is the one that started the modern zombie subgenre. You had zombie movies before this, but they were all voodoo zombies. This one was a very important change. It wasn't magic, it was science, and this one it's heavily implied to be radiation. A lot of the later zombie movies will say it's a disease. But here, it is a scientific reason for the apocalypse. The zombies in this one, they want to bite you, and when you die, you turn into a zombie, and you have to shoot the head. And so much of this is establishing what later zombie movies would do. In fact, voodoo zombie movies nowadays are very, very rare. It also does a few things that later zombie movies don't pick up, which it's kind of odd because this movie established so much that there are some elements of this movie that didn't make the cut into mainstream pop culture. For example, zombies are afraid of fire and bright lights in this movie. You see them smashing in the headlights of a car and running away from fire. That never made it over to too many other zombie movies. You see zombies using basic tools, things like, they'll find a piece of wood and use it as a club. That hardly makes it over into other movies either. One thing that's prominent with this one that really doesn't make it over into too much other than, say, like The Walking Dead, was that no matter how you die, you come back as a zombie. Like, the bite kills you, but no matter how you die, you turn. And a lot of people even just miss this because they have this preconceived notion because every other one it's the bite. But it directly confirms us on the radio towards the end of the movie that no matter how you die, you're always going to come back, and this is hardly ever done in any other zombie fiction. It's usually only the bite that does it. But other things that this does set up is eventually Ben and Barbara encounter more characters, and this sets up that a zombie movie isn't just killing monsters, it's decisions and relationships between the humans. So how do you survive? Where do you hide? What do you do to make sure the zombies don't get you? You board up the windows, what's your plan? How do you get out of there? But whatever your plan is, other people may not agree with it. The human-to-human conflict is something that's literally established right here in the first modern zombie movie, and it's something that really drives a lot of the rest. The zombies are bad, sometimes humans can be worse, and there's going to be fighting amongst people. And that's there right at the beginning. It also uses a lot of news footage, and in a weaker movie, news footage is usually used to just establish some plot elements that they couldn't figure out how to work into the story any other way. But here, you see the characters huddling around the radio and then later the TV trying to get any bit of information, and hearing it from the news, it makes it seem more real, and you see that these characters don't know what's going on and they're looking for any bit of information to help them, and it seems like something you would do, like something people do, especially with how crazy the world's been lately. So the news really works in this movie, and there is a lot of it where it seems more real, because of this news footage. But anyway, there are some real-world elements in this movie that are worth addressing. First, this was a very low-budget movie, and it was a bunch of people wanting to make a movie and really pushing, trying to get it done, and they had to work for it. And you get things like a lot of the actors served double duty doing other things like makeup or set dressing, costuming, just whatever needed to be done, people did it. And the house they filmed in was actually a house that was going to be demolished, which was the only way they could afford to rent the houses. They're like, we don't care what you do to this house, destroy it, board up the windows, we don't care, we're going to tear it down after you're done filming. Which is kind of sad that this, yes, was torn down after the shoot, because so many fans would love to go there. The location people would love it, but sadly this house did get torn down after the movie was done. Some of the furniture was saved, but that's about it. But yeah, it's really interesting stories, and if you want more stuff, just go on YouTube, look up stuff about the production of Night of the Living Dead, and it should be a fun night of YouTubing for you, because it is an interesting story, just how they barely were able to get this movie made. Secondly, as far as real-world stuff I do want to mention, Romero had open casting for this movie, and he picked Duane Jones to play Ben because he was the best actor. The part was not really written for a black man, but Romero said it shouldn't matter, and it doesn't, and he didn't change the script in any way. He gave him the same script he would have gave anyone else, and in turn, this became one of the first prominent American movies to feature a black lead, and in turn, lots of historical ramifications, and lots of people have said quite a bit about Duane Jones's performance in this movie, and it really is important historically and socially to see such an early film with a black lead, and major props to Romero for that, and Duane Jones, excellent performance. There's also a third real-world element. This movie got popular for two, well, it's a good movie, but two unintended things helped this movie along. One, they changed the title from Night of the Flesh Eaters to Night of the Living Dead. At least I think that was the original title. But when they changed the title, the new title card, they forgot to put the copyright on it. And without the copyright stuff there, they accidentally made their movie copyright free. Now, sadly, Romero didn't get near as much money for this movie as he should have, but because it was copyright free, it was circulated all over the place and became a very easily accessible movie, especially to this day. You can find it anywhere, on pretty much anywhere you can find a movie. It's on YouTube. There's actually, the most recent time I watched this movie, there's a channel, it's like Timeless Classics Now in Color, and they had an AI colorize the movie, which was really funny. Well, really fun. The AI messes up in a few spots, but it's a pretty cool concept. But yeah, it's super accessible even nowadays. So that helped move the movie to more people, even though they didn't get as much money. The second thing, they actually put out the movie like a month before the rating board was established, and in turn they got to send out this movie unrated. And if they had just waited, like I think a month later, the movie would have probably been given one of the strictest ratings they had, and in turn it wouldn't have got to as many people. A lot of kids saw this movie when they were probably too young because their parents thought it would be something like a 50s monster movie, and a lot of people were like, oh man, it's scary, and that spread the reputation of this movie. But yeah, had the rating board slapped it with a stiff rating, it wouldn't have circulated near as much. So these elements, plus the fact that it's a great movie, really helped this movie spread like wildfire. And even though Romero didn't make as much off of it as he should have, it did help him make Dawn of the Dead later, which he very much did keep the copyright for. Although there's weird things with that one's DVD release, so maybe there's more copyright issues than I think. I don't know. He made money though. But anyway, this movie is a classic. There's very few movies that spawn a whole subgenre. You know, Halloween spawned the modern slashers, Jaws spawned shark movies, The Exorcist spawned possession movies, Night of the Living Dead spawned the modern zombie movie. It's a classic that spawned a whole subgenre that is continually making movies to this day, and it's an amazing movie. And if somehow you missed it and you haven't seen it, it is a great movie beginning to end, and I don't really know, you know, how, if I can stress that anymore. This is top 10 perfect horror films. Yeah, there's a little bit with the budget issue, but I think that makes it charming. And, well, the one thing that people criticize this for is Barbara falls into a state of shock after the first act of the movie, and people like, I was following her, and now she's useless. Her brother just died, and the world's turned into a nightmare. I think she's entitled to be in a state of shock, and plus doing a switch where it seems like she's the main character, then it shifts to Ben. I mean, you've seen that done in, say, Psycho, and it helps sell just how terrifying the world is. But this element, I don't think it's repeated in any of the remakes, and all the sequels feature strong female leads, so some people don't like it. I understand it. She's entitled to a state of shock because it is terrifying and it helps sell that. But that's really the one thing people criticize this movie for. Other than that, perfect movie. If you haven't seen it, go out and watch it. Anyway, for everyone who's watched this far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I do about 95% horror on this channel, so if you want more of that, just stick around. I'll put a relevant playlist down here, probably my Romero Zombies franchise playlist. Anyway, I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Have a good day.